Here we have our first year flowering hollyhocks, which have put on such a display this year. They've been incredible, haven't they? And you can see that Neil has chopped them all down, and look, they are growing back. So that tells you, yes, they are a perennial. However, they are a little bit tender. So I want these pots for my tulips anyway. So I will clear these plants, put them into pots, and then put them in the greenhouse to overwinter. I can plant them out again next year. I'll also sow some more as well because they were fabulous, weren't they? So while it's a lovely day, I thought I would come and get the hollyhocks out, and I thought you might like to see. So let's start with this one. I'm just going to try and get out as much of the compost around the roots as I possibly can. There we go. It's coming out beautifully. And then I'm going to pop these up and put them in the greenhouse. There we go, that's that. And can you see, look at all those lovely new shoots come up. So if you leave them in the garden and it gets really cold, the plant might perish because it's not as hardy as some other plants in the garden. So if you want to save them, digging them up is best. Let's put the trowel under this one. Well, that's nice and easy because it's at the edge. There we go. Look at that. I'm going to put that straight in my trug. There's a couple more over here. There we go. Take that one out. And again, this one's in the corner, and there's a weed there, so we need to get rid of that. So hopefully this one will be nice and easy as well. You can feel the roots with your trowel. There we go. Don't want you, thank you. Let's put both hands in. That'll be easier. Look at that. So I'll trim all of this off in the greenhouse just so we've got the new growth, and that's all. It stopped raining for a moment, so I thought I would take this opportunity to show you the late tulips, and I absolutely love them. You can see from the planter behind, I've planted them en masse, and I just love them. The colours are so muted, they almost look antique. Such a lovely contrast from the quite bright colours that I've been growing so far this year. Look at that. Definitely one from a favourites list. And it's nice that they've come so late as well, when everything else is kind of over. I've got a beautiful set of matching rusted iron containers. You can see the second one behind it glowing in the sunshine. So I've decided for a change this year, my hollyhocks are going to go in here. 2 matching containers either side of the summer house doors. They are glowing in the sunlight. They look really happy already, don't they? Just in case you're interested, this container is about 50 centimetres across. I did think maybe 11 plants, but judging by the size, but it just didn't quite look right, so I put 12 in instead. Look at all that lovely eucalyptus. That's from last year's grow along. It's absolutely massive. I've got loads of plants. Hopefully we should have some eucalyptus for you again this January. I'm doing my best to sort it out. A grow along update on our first year flowering hollyhocks. They're looking absolutely magnificent even before we've got any flowers. I brought my hollyhock plants down to the greenhouse ready for potting on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check the compost to make sure we haven't got any little hitchhikers no slugs or snails, because somebody made this hole. So I want to make sure I haven't brought that slug down to the greenhouse with me. Look at all those lovely new shoots. So I will clean off this stalk, and I've got a selection of pots here ready to transfer them into. So I'll pop you in the cradle now so you can have a look from overhead what I'm doing. Right, let's start with this guy here. Now, a lot of the compost will probably drop away. They do have a very slender root system. I can't see any evidence of any slugs or snails. You could put a few pellets just in the compost, in with the compost, just for super safety, but it looks okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip this old stalk off, just about there, making sure I don't nick any of the new growth. There we go. And you can see, and then all I'm going to do is move him in to a container. This 1 litre container should be plenty big enough for overwinter, because they're not going to grow very much. As soon as it starts to get really cold, they'll shut down growing completely and you won't see any more shoots. So let's fill it all in. Some fresh compost, keep them cosy over the winter. And I'll give them all a watering in at the end. Let's do another one for you. So here is my hollyhock. There's the growth. I'll just cut him straight off the top there. You don't have to worry too much about cutting on angles, because they're going to be in the greenhouse, so they're not going to be out in the rain. And you need to be careful, of course, that you don't overwater these when they're not growing. Let's just fill this all around. I like to use fresh compost because then I'm sure that there's no pests or diseases in the soil. I'm going to get off to a flying start next spring. Here I've got an example of a plant that wasn't actually chopped down quite enough. It was chopped the same as the rest, but for some reason it still decided it could carry on growing. So it hasn't initiated any shoots at the bottom. But as soon as I chop this off, it will. And I've got one here which has been a bit of a slow coach. So it's been chopped off. But can you see there? Look, there's nodes appearing. Don't worry if your hollyhock doesn't look like this. As long as it's got some good roots, you can pot it on. Don't expect much from them. They're going to go into dormancy during the cold weather. And if we get that terrible cold weather where it was -9 for weeks on end, you probably will need to take them indoors, put them in a conservatory, or just bung them on your windowsill for a few days until the cold weather passes, because otherwise they might perish. But hopefully not. Hopefully they can stay in the greenhouse. But if I take mine indoors, I will let you know. For example, I've got this one and I'm just going to tuck it right in. So don't worry, they get covered up. Always just about above the soil surface. But if you do cover them up completely, that's fine. I'll just keep them all protected. One here is a bit of a whopper. So I've taken out the top piece of stalk. Now you can leave this growth in place if you want to, or if you're tight on space, you can cut it down to here. Because of these roots, this one is going to need a bigger container. So this is a 2 litre container. And I'm just going to tuck the roots in, just hold them carefully in the centre, and then just fill in with compost all around. Just pop him down here with the others, and then I'll give them all a nice watering in.